are the Warriors.
Okay, The Warriors, 1979 movie that was one of the formative movies of my childhood, for better or for worse, probably for worse. It came out in 1979, shot in 1978 in New York City. I would have seen it in 1983 or 1984 when I was living overseas. One of my friends had it on, must have had it on a VHS tape, I guess. I watched it a lot and have watched it as an adult a couple times, including when I went to New York City in August. I watched it and tried to find some of the distinctive locations that I thought I might be able to track down, because the whole thing was shot on location. It was shot night after night after night. The setup is that there are all these different gangs in New York City, and they all get called up to this big, I think they call it the conclave, a big meeting in the Bronx where one of the gang leaders is going to propose that they all kind of band together and then they can rule the city, yada, yada, yada. That guy, I don't remember his name. You Warriors purists are going to hate me for this video. I haven't done tons and tons of research. I'm just trying to put it out there. Cyrus is his name. He gets shot. And his assassination is blamed on the Warriors.
He's the one! The Warriors did it!
Who are a gang from Coney Island. So the conclave gets busted up, everybody flees. The Warriors are trying to make their way home back to Coney Island. And since it has been reported that it was the Warriors that shot the guy, all the other gangs in the city are trying to get the Warriors, dead or alive. So they have to basically fight their way back from the Bronx down through Manhattan to get to Coney Island. And again, all shot on location. And I realized after I was trying to find some of these locations that people have already done all this work. They found all the locations that still exist where this movie was shot. But I was having fun with my daughter in New York, just kind of trying to trace out a little bit of the path and find a few of these. So I thought I would watch some of this. I'm not going to sit here and watch the whole movie with you. It's really interesting cinematically too. And I didn't read up about a whole lot of the history of it and its impact, but it was a different kind of movie when it came out, kind of dystopian, but set in the present. They were afraid if they said it was set in the future that people would think they were going to see Star Wars or something like that. It's not a science fiction movie. It is a kind of dressed up, cartoony, dystopian movie that is told from the perspective of the gang members. That's who it focuses on. And it's very violent. As a young testosterone-filled kid, I loved it. So I'm going to watch and react to a little bit of it and cut in some of the parts where I was in New York City trying to find some of these places. That's the Wonder Wheel in Coney Island, which is their destination. Hope my slurping is not too loud. Those synthesizers. I don't know that any of these actors went on to really have real careers. I recognize the names from the credits because I've seen this several times, but I can't think of anything else that these people have been in. I guess I could research that, but ain't nobody got time for that. I'm too lazy.
Any muscle.
Yeah, that's right. They all have to go there without weapons. So the Warriors are at a disadvantage as they are trying to fight their way home. Those guys are looking sharp. Can you imagine? This one. I wonder when Clockwork Orange came out. Gotta be before this, right? Yeah, Clockwork Orange came out in 1972. Yeah, so here he's tracing the line. This is where Coney Island is at the end of the line there. So they're going to go up through Brooklyn, cross over into Manhattan. I think most of the subway lines are pretty much the same. I mean, this is pretty old infrastructure. They might have renamed a few of them or added new ones or whatever. And I don't know. I mean, it's been 40 years, so surely some things have changed. But the Warriors don't really know the rest of the city because this is their home turf. There you go. They're kind of going on an odyssey. And this movie is based on some Greek mythology. Okay, based on Sol Yurick's 1965 novel, which was in turn based on Xenophon's Anabasis. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. It gives the account of the expedition of the 10,000 army of Greek mercenaries hired by Cyrus the Younger from Anabasis or Anabasis, referred to an expedition from a coastline to the interior of a country. I wonder where you can get the book. Oh, you can still get it in paperback, $15.
I want everybody to know the Warriors were there.
Late 1970s, also at the beginning of graffiti culture, which was a New York, Philadelphia thing, if I'm remembering correctly. And you can also see that tie-in some of those old Blondie videos. Interesting period. So is that Frank Marshall, like Penny Marshall's dad, like that Frank Marshall? Okay, no, different Frank Marshall, Gary Marshall. So Gary Marshall and Penny Marshall are related. So it was Gary Marshall that I was thinking of. Frank Marshall, somebody totally different. Following year, Marshall earned his first executive producer credit on Walter Hill, who's the director, classic street gang movie The Warriors in 1979, and first producer credit on, Raiders of the Lost Ark. There you go. Let's see what else Walter Hill directed. The Driver, which I've never seen. The Warriors, Southern Comfort, 48 Hours, Another 48 Hours, Streets of Fire. Oh, Streets of Fire. Okay, I did not know that. That was a movie that I saw a lot in high school. It was on HBO, and it was another bizarre kind of cartoonish gang riffraff car culture thing. Oh, I gotta watch that again. Action crime neo-noir film, rock and roll fable. Oh yeah. That's going on the list. Willem Dafoe's in it. No idea. I had no idea that the same guy directed that as The Warriors. So there you go. That is worth the price of admission to me right there. Excellent. So yeah, it's based on a book. And apparently in the book, the gang is composed of African-American black men. And they changed it in the movie because and again, like I'm not going to go back and check this, but things I've read in the past, I think they said that they didn't think it would be successful or palatable or interesting to a general audience if it was all black guys. So they threw a bunch of white guys in there too, but it's and there are other ethnicities like representing these gangs, and it's interesting because some of them seem to be very, single ethnicity groups, and some are very integrated. And I don't know which of they were all cast, so that must have been a conscious choice. They tried to cast Tony Danza in this as one of the lead warrior characters, but he was busy on some TV show or something. All right, here's the Conclave. It's not actually in the Bronx that they filmed this. Somebody found it. I didn't feel like going to the park. Riverside Park in Manhattan is where the Conclave takes place, even though it's supposed to be in the Bronx. There it is. Here's how it looks today. Actually, when I was looking for a lot of these filming locations, I just went to where they said they were in the movie, thinking that maybe they actually filmed it in like the same kind of linear way. But they were at different subway stations, and they changed some of them, and they used some parts of the platforms that were closed off or whatever. But I didn't do that research before I went looking, because I wanted to just go exploring myself and see, because that's fun. So I was in the wrong spot a lot of the time is what it comes down to. Oh, apparently, see if we can get a wider shot. A lot of the extras used in this were like real gang members. And so they had undercover cops out here amongst the extras to kind of try to keep peace, but they put real gang members in the movie for whatever reason. And apparently when they were shooting all throughout New York City, always at night, because the whole movie takes place during one night, they had to have security around all the time too, because they had people walking around in gang clothing and doing violent things and stuff like that. So they had to have a dialogue with the local gangs, and they had to have their own security to keep the cast and crew safe. Let's go on to the next section. Here's Cyrus talking.
That's 20,000 hardcore members.
That's the guy that shoots him right there, not one of the Warriors. I don't think I'm doing any spoiling here because it's a 45-year-old movie. So if you haven't seen it by now, that's on you. Anyway, he shoots Cyrus. The guy from the Warriors sees him. This guy. Mayhem. Apparently, to keep actual gang violence from breaking out here, they basically had them running in concentric opposite circles to make it look like chaos, but it wasn't really chaos.
He saw him! Yeah, that's him! He's the one! He's the one! The Warriors did it!
Okay, so there's where he gets framed. The Warriors are all have already all left at this point. So they don't know that they have been framed. They take off here. They end up in the cemetery. I know they found that statue. Oh, yeah, there's a shot. So there's the statue.
It is between here and that train. If you get separated, make it to the platform at Union Square. That's where we change trains.
If they get separated, he says, go to Union Square. Union Square is kind of in the middle of, I guess, lower Manhattan. The Gramercy Riffs, I think, is the name of this gang. They got their martial arts stuff on.
Who are the warriors? I want them alive if possible, if not wasted. Send the word.
That's that real live bunch from Coney.
Apparently, the actress that did this had no idea that it was just going to be her lips and mouth that were on the whole time. So that's all they ever show over her face, never makes it into the movie. So I feel kind of bad for her, but I guess that's what they decided to go with for the effect. Kind of faceless voice sending out commands.
Your face I see, heaven
A lot of these gangs that they're showing, or several of them anyway, are ones that the warriors will run into on their way home. They're trying to get over to the subway station without being seen and not too early, so they're not sitting ducks on the platform.
Yeah, come on, man. We
Japped on an open platform.
So the guy who just talked, he was apparently supposed to be the kind of warrior lead who has the love interest with the girl and everything else, but he was such an asshole on the set that they killed off his character early. I think they might have fired the actor, and then they had his stunt double go in, and they basically have him just get thrown off a train platform and get hit by a subway. So they kind of wrote him out of the script in mid-production, which is pretty humiliating. Hey man, gotta be nice. That's the moral. That guy.
When we get there, that's when we've made it.
Wise words from Swan. When we get there, that's when we've made it. So they're on the train. They get to, let's see.
Shit, this train's had it.
So they have to get off the train.
We can do some looking too. Ought to make you feel better.
So these guys, the Rogues, that's the name of the group. So they're trying to find the Warriors before anybody else does, because of course the Warriors know that the Rogues did it. So the Rogues want to make sure that the Warriors do not get captured and then spill the beans and get them in trouble. So they're walking through some neighborhood. Maybe that wasn't the 96th Street station. Maybe that was some other station.
We've had it.
It's the Orphans. It's
You
a real
recognize-
low rent.
We didn't say that.
Well, we got a heavy rep. You mess with us and you'll find that out.
The Orphans are mad because they were not even invited to the conclave. So, and here's the female lead who finally comes in. Mercy is her name.
Now take off your colors.
Okay, trying to get out of the orphan situation. Confrontation here.
See what you get, warriors?
So you can see the street is wet and reflecting in this. So they had a lot of trouble with rain. They lost a lot of time shooting because of the rain. And they actually, I think, shot an extra scene with them walking in the rain to explain why the street is wet so many other times. So the movie didn't call for being at like a rainy night, but they kind of had to work that in. And it actually made for better cinematography in a lot of cases because you get all these nice reflections and the lighting and everything. So they tried to use that. And a lot of the scenes come out to be, I would say substantially more beautiful and more cinematically interesting than they would be if they did not have to cope with the rain. But it put the film over time and probably presumably over budget, paying everybody to sit around and wait for it to stop raining. I guess the train's not leaving.
How much longer we gotta wait?
Yeah. So 96th Street is up near
Sit down and
Central
shut
Park.
up.
Police kind of flush them out of the train,
Go!
and then they get split up. So I thought this might have been the actual 96th Street I didn't go up to 96th Street, but I think this was another one that was filmed at a different subway platform that they had closed off, you know, so they were able to use it for filming. They didn't close it off for filming, but it was like an abandoned platform or one that wasn't in use or whatever. So they kind of rebadged it with the 96 Streets. We're able to film there at night. After escaping from the orphans, the warriors wind up at the 96th Street station where they have to evade the cops. Okay, so this scene, the scenes in 96th Street actually shot at Hoyt Schermerhorn in Brooklyn, as it has two unused platforms which are often used by film companies. So there you go. There's a shot of the warriors escaping. Still basically looks the same. Yeah, it does. Welcome to the 72nd Street station in Manhattan, where this was actually filmed. All right, so they filmed the 96th Street station shots in a couple of different places. Entrance, very striking. Yeah.
Where are they?
This is when you know you're not in Kansas anymore. Can you imagine a gang, like, you know, painting their faces like that and just like hanging around all night, waiting to go out and cause mayhem? There you can see the nice water or nice light reflections on the wet street. So when I was in Ann Arbor in graduate school at the University of Michigan, this film was going to be shown in one of the local, like, independent cinemas. And I put a message on the listserv wanting to see, because I was excited to see it in the theater, which I'd never seen it. So I sent out this message to, you know, all the graduate students or whatever, seeing if anybody else wanted to go with me. And I quoted this line in it that Ajax is about to say here. And man, did I ever get ripped for that. It was not the right crowd for that. It made a lot of people very upset. For years afterwards, you know, when I would meet somebody new there, it was a big program. And I, you know, to introduce myself, I would sometimes say I was the guy who wrote the Warriors email, because it was a big, like, multi-day listserv blow up. It is what it is. I am the guy who wrote the Warriors email.
I'll shove that bat up your ass and turn you into a popsicle. Come on.
The baseball Furies dropped the ball.
Baseball
made an
Furies.
error. Our friends are on second base and trying to make it all the way home.
Some of them get waylaid by some sirens here. They get split up in Central Park further. What happens? Oh yeah, so that's what's that actress's name?
Feeling all right, lady? You need a little help or something, lady?
Mercedes Rule.
Why don't you sit down? Keep me company.
So she ends up being an undercover cop. Ajax
stay, lady.
sexually assaults her and gets
at those
taken away, so
muscles.
he's out of the picture. They're down in the 96th Street station. These, I believe, is not 96th Street, but those were put there to, you know, dress it up. Cops are still on the prowl.
But, where's your dudes? Chicks like you always got.
So here's, I think, the scene that they were able to shoot in the rain with umbrellas to make it clear that it was raining. So this gang takes them back and tries to seduce them and with their guard down, but the ones who go there fight their way out of that. And Swan and Mercy are trying to make their way all the way down to Lower Manhattan, walking in the subway tunnels, which I guess would be possible. I don't know.
Walking.
They're just walking.
Jesus. Why don't you give me a break, huh?
They're developing their relationship.
I don't even know your name.
Is this supposed to be Union Square? This might be. Yep, Union Square, 14th Street. Okay. So this is one that I thought might have actually been in Union Square, and again, I would have to double check, but I don't think it was. Okay, so they finally make it to Union Square, and it says it is the real Union Square. Green 456 platform, to be specific. Okay, this ramp. If you go to Union Square Station today, you'll find that it has been completely remodeled, making it difficult to find recognizable filming locations. But I went down in there and looked around, and a lot of it looks really similar to this in terms of the paint scheme, but you know, a lot of the subway stations kind of look alike.
Alright, this looks pretty good. The blue columns like this is the same paint color as 1979.
What I read, which maybe
There's a men's room. That's probably the ones where the Warrior
The ramp pictured below was apparently used for the scene where the Punks leader skates down. It is not open to the public as it now forms part of a police precinct I had special access to. Okay, so I was in the right place. Just couldn't find it. And Union Square Station is big too, so a lot of different tunnels and hallways and staircases and stuff like that. I tried to find this ramp. I found one that was pretty similar in Union Square, but I was in the wrong subway station. But a lot of these are designed pretty similarly anyway, so you kind of get the idea. Still have the same tiles on the wall, still have the same coloration. They're painted in these kind of primary colors. Creepy guy on roller skates. Oh, so these guys are already waiting there at this point.
Are you kidding?
Thought I could find the actual men's room, maybe. Inside the men's room is one of only a couple scenes that were actually filmed on a set. So they're all hiding in the stalls, burst out, there's a big fight. You can imagine why they did this on a set, because there's a lot of choreography in a small place. So hard to fit so many cameras in a real men's room. And I've actually never been in one of the subway bathrooms, but it's quite like I imagined it would look. Hopefully they look a little bit better now, but okay, so they fight their way out of there. What do we got going on here? More Gramercy Rift stuff.
He says he saw who shot Cyrus.
They're back on the subway on their way down to Coney Island now from Union Square, so they don't have to get off the train again. All right, sun's coming up, and they make it back to Coney Island. Yay. There's the Wonder Wheel, which is still there. I tried to find this, and I think that the platform has been extensively modified, because I kind of found where this would have to be, where they get off at Stillwell Avenue, but you can't see this view anymore, so I think the station has been redone.
Down. We have to go up here more.
I don't know what this thing back there is, like a water slide or something. That definitely wasn't there that I saw. Oh, he's gonna give her flowers.
This is what we fought all night to get back to.
So I did find this street. You know, some of these little buildings have changed, but the Cyclone is still there, and the sign that says Thrills is still there. So I was able to pretty much, boy, it looks like stuff has fallen down. That building looks burned. Anyway, got this one.
Okay, that's pretty close. I think all the buildings on the side, I mean, that might be old and modified. These are all have been changed, I think. Trying to get hit by a car. All right, and there's the actual Wonder Wheel over there, which unfortunately is not open till 1 o'clock, and we have other plans this afternoon, so not in the cards this time.
Found that.
Okay, so the Warriors are being followed down this street. We think that, see if I can point to it with my finger, this ride right here might have just been modified. It's got a thing that goes up and down, but now it has like scoobly booblies coming off of it. And there's the Wonder Wheel, which you can see in the background of the still. And there used to be another Ferris wheel right here, which is not there anymore. And obviously all of these buildings, or most of them anyway, have probably been changed. But this is definitely that road.
So they're just kind of following them down the street. So that's the Rogues there. Because now remember, the Riffs know that the Warriors didn't do it. I'm not sure whether I walked by that building. That building is probably still there, the yellow one.
Stay right on their ass.
So they run under the boardwalk here. I wasn't sure because I had watched the movie a couple nights before this, so I wasn't sure that's where they were running to, but now I know that that's what this is, and you can't get down there anymore. It has been closed off. All right, just busting up stuff to find some weapons, you know, just what you do when you go to Coney Island. Just random pipes. Sure. I tried to find this, and I believe that that is gone also. This is a bathhouse. But I thought this would be distinctive enough with these arches that I could find it, but I don't think it's there anymore. They've developed a lot around that area, so I think it's gone.
There's a lot of new stuff here that would have definitely been built since the 1980s, so I have a feeling that there are several blocks at least that are missing. If that location was around here, I'm not sure that it is around here anymore.
So that dude, apparently the actor made that up. That was not in the script, and they were trying to think of a way that, you know, he could do something to get the Warriors' attention. So he put these bottles on his fingers. This is a super iconic scene, which is why I wanted to find where it was shot, but couldn't.
Warriors, come out to play.
They head out to the beach.
When we see the ocean, we figure we're home.
You're crazy. You're dead.
I thought he was going to cut his hair off. He's just wiping the blood off.
Riffs! Yeah!
Looking for us?
We found what we're looking for.
No.
Okay, he begs and pleads.
It wasn't us.
Doesn't work.
It was them.
Warriors.
Warriors.
News boppers, the big alert has been called off.
Warriors absolved.
It turns out that the
I think Joe Walsh actually wrote this song for this movie. It ended up being a hit song, but I think it might have been like commissioned. When I was walking around Coney Island, there was a sign up. I was there August 3rd or 4th, and there was a sign that they were going to show the Warriors, like project it out there to watch it as a movie. Can you imagine going and hanging around, riding on the Wonder Wheel, watching some Warriors at night? That would be a lot of fun. Anyway, if you're interested in late 1970s pop culture, and you have never seen the Warriors, I highly recommend it. A lot of really interesting things going on in music in the late 1970s. You have graffiti culture. You actually had the beginning of kind of nascent hip hop, which doesn't show up in this at all. This movie I think is interesting too for like the portrayal of New York City life and what it was like. And I know it made an impression on me as a kid that New York was not someplace I wanted to go because it was scary, and I don't feel that way at all now. But I think this movie is a really interesting kind of cultural and historical document for what it is. So highly recommended. I give it, in terms of like taking the movie objectively, I'll give it 3 out of 5 stars. But in terms of its like interestingness and taking chancesness and newness at the time and coolness factor, I give it a 5 out of 5. There are a few cringeworthy moments. There's some homophobia and some misogyny and stuff like that in it. You know, the movie is what it is. If you haven't seen it and you're interested in some of the same crap that I'm interested in, have at it. This person, Cool Comics, has the movie up in 12 parts that just will seamlessly play from one to the other with just like a little blip. Less of a blip than the little cigarette burn you see like up in the corner. So there you go. Whoever Cool Comics is, thanks for putting it up. It's been viewed 327,000 times from the last 5 years. So The Warriors lives on.
He's the one!